check out the Patreon and gain access to all the source code. Welcome to part 4 of the hardcore mode series. So now, since we are already adding the player to the hardcore table here, and we add them when they join the table, well, what we want to do now is that if we want to stop them from reviving if they die, and of course we want to tell the whole server, like all players, that the player died if they die. So let's get right into that. So here you can see the player died. That was our test for the player just died. What we want to do now is that, again, the local UID for getting the local players or the players UID. And now what we want to do is that we want to check if the player is inside the hardcore players at the UID index. If they are, what we now want to do is that we want to loop over all the different players in the whole server, and then we want to tell all players that this player just died. But first, to make it a little easier, let's just say local dead player name. Dead player name equals player get name. So we just get the name of the dead player. Well, if I died as hardcore, then we get the name of the dead player, which is me. So next thing we want to do is that we want to check, okay, let's say this is, well, we can actually just do it a little different. So let's say if the hardcore players UID, so at the index of the UID is equals nil, well, then we don't need to do anything, so we can just return, because it was not a hardcore player that died. Well, so that means if it is a hardcore player, it will just ignore this and keep going here. Okay, well, it's a hardcore player that died now. So what we want to do is say hardcore players UID dot is alive. So that is our value here. And what we want to do with this is that we want to set that to 0, because now they are dead. So we want it to be 0 instead of 1. And next, what we want to do is that we want to loop over all players and tell them, hey, this player just died in hardcore. So let's write the for loop. So for, and since we don't need the pairs, I think it's the key. So we can do like 4 pairs here. Yeah, we don't need the key. So we will just underscore it to not use it. And then we say current player. So current player is the player we find inside the list of all players. And to get all players, you write get players in world. That is a function in Eluna to get all the players on the whole server or the whole realm. So now we have, like, let's say we have 10 players. Well, this is just 10 basically, just a variable holding the number 10. Then we go over all players where current player is the player we are on. Loops can be a bit hard to understand, so I get it if you need to ask any questions. I had a hard time learning how loops worked at the beginning. So here we want to say, okay, current player, colon, send area trigger message. And the message would basically be that player name, so their name, dot, space, double quotes, and then has fallen. So that's all we had to do here. Now, after this, what we want to do is that we want to update the database to tell the database that, hey, just so you know, this player is not alive anymore, so we need to change their what is it called? Their ID, not ID, sorry, their is alive to 0. So what we want to do here is that we want to do an update, and the update is luckily pretty simple. So let's just get right on to doing that. So jar db execute like before, and then double quotes, and then we write uppercase update space, and then outside the quotes 2 dots, hardcore db table, because that's the hardcore table we want to go into. Then 2 quotes again, or 2 dots again, and then quotes, then space set is alive equals to 0. And the reason I just not like set alive, because we have it inside a variable here, so we will just do this. Actually, sometimes I do it the other way around. Let's find the update again. Where did here it is. So set outside, put it in here, and then what we want to do is that, well, we set it equals to, and then a space again, and well, we can set it just straight up 0, but we can also just take the value of is alive. So let's just do that, just for it to look better. So quotes again here. I'll just do like see here. So quotes there, after the space, dot, and then we do hardcore players. Oh, sorry. And then UID, I can already see I'm spelling it wrong. So hardcore players, we can copy here. Hardcore players UID dot is alive to get the is alive value, which is 0 now. And then a space, dot again, and then double quotes. And what you want to do here is that now that we have done all of that, we want to say where, so a space and where, and then outside double dots again outside the quotes, and then you write, we'll quick scroll over here so you better can see it. So where, and then we want to go based on this column called UID. So we want to find the player UID in the database. So what we want to do here is that we just want to say where the UID is equals to, oh sorry, this would be UID column is equals to dot again UID. And that is all we need. So now we're actually updating the table with the new alive status. And that's all we need to do in here. Since we just need to tell them, hey, by the way, update this value because he's not alive anymore. Nice. In the player resurrection thing, what we can do here is that the way we would basically just make it so the player can revive if they are not in hardcore is that we'll basically just remove or return a true if they are not in the hardcore players. So that's a UID, local UID again. Player, you know the whole way around this. Get UID low, and then we want to say if, just if then. So if hardcore players at the index of UID is equals nil, then what we want to do is that we want to return true. And what return true does is that we return in the core if this is like called right on the players trying to revive. if we return true, that means they will actually revive. So we just return true, and that ends the whole function call here. But if the player is actually in the list, well, what do we do now? Well, we want to stop them from reviving. So the thing we can do here is just say if enter if hardcore players GUID dot is alive. So we want to check if the is alive is 0. Then we just want to return false. Well, actually, you don't even need you don't need this code. But I personally like having it like this, so I go based off the is alive, because you never know if you might have made an error somewhere where this value actually ends up being something else. So the is alive is always a good way to like make, what could you say, like a stopper for it. And now let's just go in game and see what happens. So I'll start up a new client, because I think this is actually the final part of the video series. So that's awesome for all of you. Let's just do it like this, and then let's do a reload Eluna, and let's go in on admin here, and then admin 1 for me here. And this is the character we already have in the database, so let's just log in on her. As you can see, she is in the database. She is still alive. Next thing we do is we log in with this guy. Well, he is, as you can see, he's not hardcore, and you can see it says chicken if you're not gonna join the hardcore. And as you can see here, we know she is hardcore, and you are already in hardcore mode. Okay, so that's great and all. Now, what would happen if this character here, this girl who is inside the database, dies? Well, the way we can fast figure that out is just write .die. And you can see the character has fallen, is called out to all the players. And now if I try to revive, as you can see here, you can't revive. No matter what you do, you can't revive anymore. So even if I like did the normal way you would do it, as like that, for a GM command to revive, as you can see, I can't even revive that way. Not even spells can revive you. But if this character dies, so after the 6 seconds here, I can actually, or you know what, let's just log out of this girl. So now I'm logged out. Let's check in the database since she is dead now. And you can see it's 0. So that means you will never ever be able to revive that character again. So let's just delete it. Let's go in on a character that I know is not a hardcore, because we didn't set her or him to hardcore. So let's just create a new character. And now let's try and die here. So as you see, I died. Well, because we are not hardcore, we can, without any problems, revive again. And the other thing I want to show you is that, as you can see here, we are not hardcore. But what happens if I, for example, kill something real quick? So let's just take this wolf and let's kill it. And you will be able to see what I mean about the fact that you can't then go ahead and be a hardcore if you're not level 1 and your XP should be 0. So let's try that. So click. You are not eligible for hardcore mode. So this was the whole series. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the series. Remember to join the Patreon if you want the source code and the code for creating the whole table automatically. See you in the next series.